right, thank you all for coming. We're just gonna make sure computers are working here. How was everybody's last night? I just asked somebody that question and they said no. So it sounds like everybody had a great time. I'm Heather Roth. I'm a director of customer data and measurement at Slalom. This is Jamie Van. She's the director of global strategic initiatives at Slalom. We're gonna talk a little bit, and I feel like we've heard a theme about context over the past couple of days, and I think throughout a few sessions, we've talked a lot about the contact center, which is emerging as such a channel for additional context. And so we're gonna talk through a little bit of what we're seeing with our clients and the companies that we're working with, and some of the innovation too that we're doing with our contact center teams heavily fed by this CDP that you all know and love, Telium. So I have a slide up here that says brands spend million earning customers' attentions, and I want to sit with that for a second because brands are spending so much on marketing, media, content, personalization, all to get the customer's attention. And then the minute that the customer raises their hand and says, I need help, it's a little bit of a blank slate because marketing is collecting all of this data. They know everything. If they're using Telium, they know everything about you, what clicking, what you're searching, all of those different things. And in many cases, the contact center doesn't get that data. It's two different parts of the business, in many cases not connected by the hallway. So marketing teams know so much about you, and then you're met with a blank form. And I think that's the really interesting thing that we're seeing and why we're seeing contact center come up so much as we're thinking through omni-channel orchestration is because how many of you have called a contact center in the past month or two? And how many times has that contact center agent known anything about you? It's always just, tell me again. So this is one of the things that we're trying to solve, and this is what something like Telium can help us do. So we're going to go through 4 things today, the first one being why the contact center matters. And again, this will follow a theme that you all have heard quite a bit this year. Where the opportunity lies when you're giving it additional context and using it to bring additional context back into your systems. And then we're going to make it real. We're going to go through a journey with someone named Maria who's just trying to book a cruise. Don't we all want to do that right now? So you're going to meet her, you're going to root for her, and you're going to understand how her experience generally is, and then how it might be different with the right architecture. And we'll talk through some of the business impact that that's going to drive. So thinking about the contact center, in many cases, when you're doing this, it is the most urgent part of your brand experience, right? Rarely are we ever actually calling a contact center to just see how the agent is doing that day. I might do that. Jamie actually makes fun of me for how nice I am to contact center agents, but it's generally like when you're stuck, when you need things, when you just want to get something done because you're upset. And those are often seen as like transactional points. They're not seen as part of a journey. And because that, in many cases, you could have the best marketing in the world, you could have the best customer success, sales team, et cetera, in the world, but that moment could be something that breaks your brand experience. And what do those better experiences actually rely on? It's they want to be recognized and understood when they're talking to you. The agents, they also struggle with that. They're just trying to do their jobs. They just want to help people. They actually like when you ask how their day is, but they need that clarity in seconds, not minutes. They need to understand exactly how to help the person who's calling because they're measured on CSAT. They're measured on those things, and so they want to get that stuff done too. And then we've heard a lot this week about AI and automation, and there's so many cool things that you can do, and there's a lot of AI investment going into contact centers, but it's only as good as the signals that you're putting in it. So if you're giving this amazing agent information that doesn't exist, you're still just gonna get that, how are you? How's your day? Sort of form. So this is where we start to think about where customer context and within the contact center can work, right? If you have better customer context, you can get better support. If you, in the experience, are collecting intent, you can drive smarter routing, you can drive more personal help, you can get them to exactly where they need to be without having to redirect them to 5 different places. And then if you're taking that data that you're actually learning about them in the contact center and you're flowing that back into your identity, into your customer record, you're improving every other touch point that you have with that customer. You're able to move them into new segments. You're able to do some of that in pretty real time. And so again, it kind of creates this flywheel, and every interaction that you're having is making that next one smarter. So what does this look like in practice? Jamie, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with Connect IQ?
Yeah, so as Heather mentioned, a lot of what we're seeing here is disconnected data. So one of the things that we did is put an intelligence layer on top of the information that you get at the contact center. So we built this solution called Connect IQ. It sits on top of the contact center. It monitors and analyzes all of the conversations that are coming in, and then it helps to build intelligence on that. And it gathers input from the enterprise data that you have, so data that you have from Telium, data that you have from marketing and ad tech and all of that. So it develops this rich intelligence layer of your customer, and it provides a sense of, I'll start from the bottom up. You get operational efficiencies around what are people really trying to get at? Where should we send them? Do they want to be self-serviced, or do they want to talk to an agent? What are the gaps in the experience that we can provide? How do we make that better and fill those gaps? How can we use that data to understand where self-service opportunities are? How to make the experience better for folks? What volumes we can anticipate? How that affects the staffing that you have in the contact center? Should we go up or down based on volume? And all of that is in order for us to provide the most elevated and personalized experience possible, so that we can use that information and that intent that we know that we have upper funnel down in the support space, so that you can get to your resolution faster, you can have an enhanced experience, and you feel like you're known throughout your entire relationship with the brand.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're building something like this, and we're helping our clients do this with Telium, because like many of you know, Telium offers this real-time piece, right? You're consistently getting that context, whether it's through Event Stream, Audience Stream, Moments API, that you can identify what is going on with that person. So that helps with the personalization. You can understand the intents, you can do that. If you understand that like your site is down and people are calling in because they can't get their billing, you can know that ahead of time and proactively give your agents that information so that they know how to solve the problem, and they can turn around the issues that like a little bit faster. And then to Jamie's point, there's a lot of operational intelligence. You can plan a little better. You know what those spikes are going to look like. You can just manage your workforce a little bit better. And that's what we're seeing and what we're trying to build. So let's go through this story from Maria. So we were talking about Maria. Maria wants to book a cruise. She's going with her family. And she's been going back and forth between Alaska and Caribbean cruises. Very different, but both feel really fun. She's taking her kids on this one. What's interesting is that Maria is a returning customer, but she still has a lot of questions because Maria is doing this in a different context. She's been on this cruise line before, but she's gone consistently with her girlfriends. So completely different context. She knows how to plan for that one. She knows what to expect. She doesn't know what to expect with this one. So she's going back and forth on the website, looking at the different plans, packages, trying to understand the activities, which ones have childcare, which ones don't. And she is stuck. So she opens the chat and it says, "Hi there, how can I help?" There's no recognition that Maria is a pretty loyal customer and that she's been on their cruise line quite a bit. And that it's probably frustrating to Maria because she's like, how can you help? You can help me figure out what I'm going to do. What does this look like if it's a little bit different? If the experience already knew what she was doing, if it knew that she was going back and forth between Alaska, Caribbean, she's spending a lot of time on Caribbean, she's reviewing multiple Caribbean cruises, that she's looking for childcare, having that context about Maria allows any sort of AI agent or human agent to greet her in a different way that says, "Hey Maria, I noticed you were browsing and you seem a little stuck on what you want to do. It looks like you're looking for family packages. How can I help?" That's the difference between a transaction and recognition, and those are the moments that actually create a lot of that brand affinity with customers who are just like, "Oh my gosh, here's how you can help me," not, "My name is Maria, here is my loyalty number." it accelerates that so much. So we're actually going to hop into a demo and kind of click around and show you what this experience would look like.
Okay. Should I close that?
It should cut over, yep.
Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what does this look like in real life? So as Heather mentioned, this is our customer profile of Maria. This is what we know about her. We know that she's been a member with Cruise World since 2019, and she's had a couple of trips in the past. We know that she is a family. She's a member of 4. She's a family of 4, and she's looking for a summer trip. And really, at the end of the day, as Heather mentioned, what she wants to know is, which cruise should I book? Is it Alaska? Is it Caribbean? Which one's better for my family? So the question is super simple. The decision has been really hard for her. And again, it's nuanced. She's traveled before, but this is a different scenario. She has kids that she wants to travel with. She wants to make sure that it's a good time for everyone. So Maria is a diligent type of person. She's done a ton of research. She's been on the site for a couple of weeks, comparing plans, comparing costs, comparing activities. And so we know that she's been exploring, she's been researching, and all of the different pages and views that she's had on the site. Whoops. And at this point, she's stuck. She has done a ton of research, but is in analysis paralysis and wants to get some support. And so she opens up the chat experience and has what I'm assuming is a common experience that we've all had at one point or another, where we are hoping that we can get to an answer quickly. We've been working through a problem for a decent amount of time, and we have to, and we think that folks should know us because we've spent so much time on the site. We've been a member for years, and what we find is repetition. We find answering a lot of the same questions. We find ourselves yelling, support, consultant, whatever it is that we need to get to the support desk. So when that happens, the frustration is not just on the customer side, it's also on the business side. We see that this is a pain point and a friction point for everyone involved. So not only is Maria having a negative experience, a poor customer experience, we see it takes a really long time for her to get to the resolution that she needs. And that means that agents are spending more time than they need to resolving her issue. Sentiment is really poor, and then CSAT is really poor as well. And what we know about Maria are all of the things that she's done with us in the past, with Cruise World in the past, all of the behavioral activities, in addition to the customer data that we have of her just as a customer.
Yeah, and when we go back to marketing and contact center being siloed, right? Like, this is the type of data that the marketing team, especially if they have Telium, are collecting on Maria. They understand what she's clicking, they understand what she's searching, they understand that she went to family packages. It's capturing all of this stuff in the background. And so in traditional scenarios, right, the contact center team does not have any access to that. That's what's driving Maria's pieces. Maria might be getting put in different audiences as she's clicking through that. Nobody knows that in the contact center. And so when we're doing this with Telium and with the solution that we're able to do, Telium Event Stream is capturing all of this. All of the audience stuff is happening within Audience Stream, right? And then with this solution, this is able to go directly into Connect customer profiles within Amazon Connect. And the agents have real-time access to this data. So they're gonna know what Maria was doing historically, and then they're gonna know right beforehand, especially with Moments API, that she is right there looking for something and she needs that type of assistance. And so being able to do that is gonna feed a lot better of experience, not just for Maria, but for the agent who's supporting Maria.
What we find oftentimes with customers is that these data systems are still pretty siloed. We aren't able to take full advantage of the information that we have about customers across the entire organization. Heather, I feel like I might need your help here.
My computer's different than hers.
Sorry.
That's okay. I got you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, that data exists. It just isn't always taken advantage of in the contact center. We know so much about our customers. We just don't know them everywhere. And the customer doesn't care if your departments are siloed. They don't care if marketing has this information and the contact center has a different set of information. Their experience of you is singular, and they want a singular experience. They want to be known kind of across the way. So what we are working on helping our customers do is connect that information together. So Slalom Connect IQ kind of does that for us. Like I said, we built this on top of the contact center. We integrate it with data across the enterprise, and we have this intelligence layer that helps to take all of that data, understand people's intent and inferences, and use that for the customer's advantage. You go to the And so this is kind of a look behind the hood of what that information could look like when we're able to bring all of this together. Heather went through all of the customer information that we have on Maria. We're able to derive some specific intent. We know what customer value she is. We know what her purchase intent is. We know that she's ready to buy. We know that she is facing a decision. She's comparing a couple of different packages. And we know, based on her previous experiences and how we're gathering her on this site, that she's the type of person that wants a high-touch, hands-on human interaction to close the deal for her. And so that information becomes a bridge into the contact center. We take all of that information and we surface it to our customer service reps. So they're as smart as marketing is when it comes to their interaction with the customer. And we route her to the customer service rep, because that's where she wants to go. If you're a Heather, that's where you want to go. If you're a Jamie, you want to do everything by yourself. But we know what that looks like, and we know where to target or route folks. And then we take this, all of this information surfaces up in the contact center. So this is what it would look like in an Amazon Connect. It could also look this way in a Genesis or a NICE or whatever your platform is. But at the end of the day, you get that information. You know, you understand nuance about her. You know that she's a loyal customer. You know that she's been looking on the site. You can see what her history is. That's synthesized and surfaced up for you. And you know that she has a nuanced problem. It's not just she's comparing Alaska and the Caribbean cruises as a blanket comparison. You know that she's looking for a vacation for her family, and what she's trying to do is to create a good experience for everyone. And so what we had previously was that repetitive, redundant, I don't know you conversation. And what we have in the future is, instead of a how are you, who are you, what do you want, it's hi Maria, I see you've been looking at a couple of packages, how can I help you? And what that means for the organization is it takes less time to solve a problem. It's a smarter and more pleasant experience, and it's a more seamless customer experience as well. You have the same customer, the same questions, and different endings.
And I think the thing too is, if you see at the bottom the results for the contact center agent, they're pretty happy about this experience too, because where Maria would have been frustrated going into that, and maybe it wasn't even the agent and their inability to support her appropriately, she's going to be mad. She might not give a 5-star review. That agent, they're graded on those things, right? And so we're trying to help create the solution, again, for supporting the customer experience and the agent experience, because the agents are such a human part. And even in this age of AI, right, like this has to be a piece that we can fix. You can't automate everything when there's human interactions. So how can we actually use real-time data that you're getting from Telium to also improve these human-to-human interactions, or these interactions with a chatbot that need a human touch? And so that's a big piece of this.
And this is what the difference in conversation could look like. You see that Maria starts the conversation the same way, and when she gets routed to that agent, they bring all of that context, all of that intelligence into the conversation, and they answer her question. Alaska's better for families. It's gonna be what you need. It's gonna hit better, and she confirms, and she chooses Alaska. She's able to make a decision. If you go to the next slide, that happens with the agent in the chat. And what we also want to emphasize is that not only are you just getting insight, but you can use that information to empower your customer service reps. So if they have the agency to surprise and delight their customers, customer. In this instance, the customer service rep was able to apply a loyalty discount because they know Maria has been a longtime customer and she's had a frustrating experience, and we want to be able to make that experience better for her. And we also want to make that information bilateral. So not just is marketing providing and customer data being provided to the customer support channel, but it's happening the other way around too. So if you go to the next view, you can see that at the end of her confirmation, she gets a confirmation email, and she also is tagged or put into an audience where she has completed a booking, and she gets a 15% off of her Alaska cruise that she can use on her cruise trip, because that information is bilateral and we can continue to have a continuous experience for the customer across the entire journey that Maria has with your customer.
Yeah, so in this case, Amazon Connect is sending the data back to Audience Stream via Event Stream APIs too. So immediately she can get that. Immediately she's put into a new audience. She might have been going with her girlfriends ahead of time, and now she is in a family audience, so they can market to her with family deals and everything like that too. And so that's the beauty of this whole system. When we go back to that flywheel of continued intelligence, you can use this data, and if you're bringing these data into other parts of the business, enriching that and pulling it back, that's the omni-channel experience that everyone wants. That's how you can orchestrate in a really strong way. That's how you can feed really great data into AI experiences. And it just creates that intelligence layer that we've all been talking about this week.
So it gets better over time as well.
So if we switch back to the slides, we'll kind of wrap up with just what are some of the things that, why does it matter, right? What does the business see from it? And we've talked about it a lot. This creates a lot less effort. Maria didn't have to go through her name, her loyalty number, reconfirming everything. They got it done. They got it done really well. There was a lot of faster resolution, and Maria feels understood, right? And that's the piece that if she walks away from that having a good experience, that's going to be the brand piece that really matters to her, versus there's a lot of cruise lines out there. There's a lot of travel options out there. She could just change her mind. And so that is a moment that you really want to be able to show up. And then for the business, right, you get reduced contact volume. You have the ability to do smart routing with what you know based off of somebody and what their issue was. So you can kind of triage some of the ones that don't need the human, and you can send the human ones the right context to be able to make them do what they need to do. So that's a lot of efficiency that the business gets, and that continuous journey personalization. You're constantly learning. You're constantly like feeding this gold mine of data that sits over here back into your systems and learning through every interaction. And that's the beauty of this, and that's the beauty of what Telium's doing with some of their contact center integrations. So hopefully over the past few days, you've been able to hear a few different stories on this, because it's a really compelling way that this system that you all are excited about could be used, and that you can continue to just build this customer intelligence within your business. So we're always happy to talk to you a little bit more about what we're seeing with our customers, what we're doing with Connect IQ. So feel free to come find us after this. Thank you for staying with us. And we would love to hear your feedback and any questions that you have.